Over the subsequent 365 days, teams will dedicate the majority of their resources on the 2026 rules. Having said that, Ferrari has controlled to make investments heavily in its 2025 bundle. Ferrari is taking no chances in its attempt to win the championship this year. They may be seeking to win all of it this upcoming season, providing Hamilton and Lear with a dominating automobile layout. There has been no shortage of appraisal of Ferrari's development during the last 12 months. The Scuderia marketing campaign become type IFID, with the aid of an amazing start final season accompanied by way of a mid-season disintegrate and eventual resurgence in Monza without their hiccup in the course of the European part of the season. Fred Vassar's squad should have gained the constructors' identify with numerous rounds to spare. Even though Ferrari fell quick of the championship momentum is on their side, heading into 2025, possibly most encouraging for Red Rise. Seeing that Red Rise made the cut for number 15, Fred Vassar's squad headed right into race's agenda. The Maranello-based business enterprise has been their extraordinarily careful resource allocation. Following their huge spherical 16 improve package, the manufacturing facility provided honestly no improvements. Ferrari's concentration has been on their 2 Serie 1. The 2i vehicle for a while, that is, the best approach for the team to put into effect. Big adjustments even as minimizing widespread risks to a giant volume. Their method is stimulated by way of upcoming regulatory modifications after all of the applications. With a purpose to make their debut in preseason, checking out will no longer evolve inside the equal way that the demanding situations from Ultimate Season did. Improvement for 2026, especially for an engine manufacturer like Ferrari, turns into a concern quite quickly as a result. Ferrari should make a direct impact. If they succeed, they may be able to compete for the season's championship without jeopardizing their long-term chances. L. Clerk has zero doubts about Ferrari's improvement. However, as I stated, it's all relative. He said, each person in the paddock there isn't one crew that is getting worse from 365 days to the alternative, but it's how a lot of a leap forward the others have completed, so all of it in reality relies upon others as properly. But on our facet, I have zero doubts that we will make a step forward next year, 2025, and another one the year after. However, then I don't know what the others will do. Charles Leclerc has maintained unflinching in faith within the Ferrari mission, considering the fact that joining the group 6 years in the past possibly for the first time. The Italian team is closely favored to win the name. Meanwhile, Ferrari will have to reflect on consideration on Lewis Hamilton's arrival at the same time as making plans for 2025. The 7-time champion has already made multiple visits to the Mugello facility, so as to fast integrate into the squad team fundamental, Fred's isn't concerned about Hamilton's capacity to execute at a high level. The Frenchman's revel in wit Hamilton in GPT-2 will genuinely help with this move. Vassar, who has efficaciously recruited a celebrity-studded driver lineup, will push Ferrari for their first championship. When you consider that 2008 and Lewis Hamilton has already received a welcome marvel on his first day as a Ferrari motive force, while word surfaced that Project 677 the Cruise Phone 2025 automobile had passed the FIA's required crash assessments. That's very good news for the groups. As in step with Vassar, the automobile is almost 100% exceptional, as cited by Fred Vassar. The group is not pursuing the safe route. It's miles authentic that now, whilst you develop the car every so often, you furthermore may run a few dangers by means of introducing updates, and it's far something that has affected all people. However, it's far the manner you react in this case that will become essential. Additionally, for next 12 months, we are inside the 4th YR of application of this regulation, and we recognize our preceding projects very well. Because of this, the 2025 automobile will be completely new URR. Additionally, stated that best 1% of the SF-25 will carry over to Ferrari's 2025 rival if there are not any setbacks in the coming months. Lewis Hamilton and Traveler ought to be combating at the front. It's Miles' account of how the space between Ferrari and McLaren has moved all through the iciness damage. As groups put together for the brand new 2026 everyday elations, subsequent 12 months automobiles will see constrained improvements, which means the early rounds of the season can be vital in determining the pecking order. Perhaps due to this, Ferrari is willing to be daring and take risks. Back to Hamilton. Hamilton's move from Mercedes brings the most embellished motive force in phone records, with a joint document 7 world championships and over 100 race wins, and pole positions to the sport's maximum. A hit group, the British motive force, who will turn 40 in January, isn't predicted to begin work with Ferrari till later this month, with a personal 2-day check scheduled for January 21st to 22nd on the team's Fiorano Czech circuit. Ferrari has historically completed a week-out check in Fiorano in January to get the team in, both drivers on top of things beneath the wheel of a previous automobile earlier than the actual preseason starts in February, notwithstanding having their maximum A success season in years, in Phone 2024, completing just 14 points in the back of McLaren in the Constructors' Identify Fight Group. Predominant Fred Voer has announced that undertaking 677 might be a totally new vehicle for the final year of the modern-day policies. And it's been discovered that Ferrari has performed a huge milestone in their preparations for Phone 2025, with the auto completing the obligatory FIA crash, trying out and receiving homologation for the new season. Several layout information about Assignment 607 have emerged in the latest months, the maximum noteworthy of which being the transfer to a pull rod the front suspension configuration for the first time. Considering 2015 a pull rod the front suspension as used by McLaren, and Red Bull's notion to enhance airflow to the auto's complicated underbody, with the ground generating a first-rate quantity of the automobile's general downforce under present-day floor impact guidelines. Hamilton's presence is alleged to have had an instantaneous impact on the transition to a pull rod the front suspension, with his driving style corresponding to that of latest teammate Charles Leclerc rather than his predecessor Carlos. SS Ferrari is reportedly planning to keep their disputed pull rear suspension shape no matter the retirement of former technical director Enrico Card last year. Ferrari and client outfit H are the handiest two teams nonetheless, competing with a pull rod rear suspension. Even as their competition all use a push rod configuration, Ferrari's concept to see the pull rod rear suspension as a vital reason in the 2024 car's notable. Tire management Cardile, who has stated that he's going to join Aston Martin in July 2024, instructed reporters on the unveiling of final year's SF-25 that the team discovered no major performance differences between a pull rod and push rod rear suspension setup. Mission 677 will also characteristic a redesigned wheelbase and adjustments to the gearbox's inner mechanics. Former Mercedes engineer Loic Serra is leading the improvement of the 2025 Ferrari, having been hired as chassis technical director prior to his Ferrari arrival in October after first being recruited to paintings beneath Cardle. Serra is said to be near Hamilton, having shared the motive force's concerns. Approximately the disastrous zero-pod layout concept tried through Mercedes, though former technical director Mike Elliott in 2022/23. Ferrari stated remaining month that task 677 can be released on February 19th, sooner or later. After Phone's inaugural season launch occasion in London with all 10 groups, a brief shakedown session at Fiorano is predicted following the release, with Hamilton and Leclerc getting their first flavor of the Phone 2025 vehicle. Mercedes chose to undertake a black livery for Hamilton's final 5 years with the team, abandoning their regular silver color scheme to help the 7-time world champions off TRK attempt. Hamilton denied encouraging Ferrari to move to a black livery for Phone 2025 at some point of finals finest Canadian Grand Prix, but teased that he will retain his effect work along. Ferrari president John Elkann requested if he had taken into consideration asking for a black Ferrari for Phone 2025. Hamilton said, "I have not pushed a black automobile for some time, so I possibly won't be pushing for that too early on. But no, we've got genuinely spoken about effect work, and John and the crew have quite a few philanthropy work that they accomplish that we're going to be operating very intently with Mission 44 and with the effect stuff that they're doing. I assume inside the game we must hold to do greater, however, extra outside, we're going to be doing quite a chunk collectively, so that is truly thrilling." The news coming from the Scuderia team sounds promising, but the real check for Ferrari is whether or not they could consistently outperform McLaren. Mercedes and Purple Bee, all three groups are real contenders moving into this YR, so this could be a hard check. But the forthcoming 2026 regulations are absolutely unknown. Securing a trophy this season will quit the Scudeриa's almost 20-year championship drought. So what are you anticipating from Ferrari? Will the huge changes help them win a title for the first time and see later, or will it flip out disastrous? As the opposite best, want to refine their idea, permit me? Understand your thoughts inside the comments down under.